Hello, welcome to the Reframing Mindset podcast. We are clear my head of the thoughts that are preventing clarity, practice my speech, among other things. Episodes range from informative knowledge to funny stories about my experiences, and in the future, maybe include interviews. So subscribe and enjoy. Episodes drop every other day. Okay, welcome back to Reframing Mindset podcast. This episode will talk about family remedies came in handy. Because what happened was that I'm doing this work, now. And what happened was that in this work, you're not in a comfortable chair, you're on the field, bro. So the nature was the nature of something. So it's that what happened was big rainfall, boom, and I got wet. Bro, and I got so sick that I basically had to just sit out a few days, bro. I was too sick, bro. And what happened was that basically what happened was that I actually just had a few remedies that I actually planned before I left my grandma's place. I basically learned and all those stuff. I want to learn them because at the time I was saying that, hey, you always tell me that you're not gonna be here forever and all those stuff. Boom, better teach me all it know because if I'm going to go read somewhere in life, it makes sense to actually know something. And then she and I learned a few of those stuff. What happened was that boom, I reached this far and I got became an unofficial homeowner. And what happened was that I planted one of the remedies. And I planted boom, watching it grow, and I watched it grow, and then boom, I would just sit there and be like, yeah, that remedy is good and all, but I would never use it because at the time when I planted, I was thinking about boom, I have the house, and I build it up. And what happened was that the podcast would just basically be big enough to just actually sustain me. So that's I know basically I just live in the house, drive around and do all those other stuff. But it did not work like that. What happened was that the podcast lost its monetization for so whatever reason. So basically I had to just basically look at work, got the work working. So I basically had to leave the house a lot. So basically I was boom in deal with nature again. So deal with the realities of what being in the rain and all those stuff, getting injured and all those stuff is is like. So when I actually started to experience that, what happened was that I was so sick and I wasn't sick for so long that I was basically paralyzed. We're like, oh my god, what I'm gonna do now? Then just call someone and be like, and they'd be like, oh, it best you use this. And be like, oh, wait, actually got this. I actually planted this, you know. So boom, started using it, and it actually worked. And it actually worked. And it was just the right thing at the right time. So it's just one of those things, where back to one of my previous episodes, I talk about things that is useless becoming useful. Is that the thing about medicine now, everything is that. And why I always talk about I'm speaking now in this phase of like about the complexities of life. You see a lot of medicine, a lot of remedies and all those stuff. And they're there for a reason. They're there for a reason. There's a reason why my grandmother lived to that long. Why she is a grandmother, mother of multiple generations and multiple generations that are healthy because she learned these stuff. These are stuff I'm learning now. So what happened is that this phase of my life without her is really kind of changing, really life changing. But the thing about it is, if I fast forward many years from now, many years from now, that's a lot of lessons from now. You're going, I'm going to, you know, God spares my life and all those stuff. I'll reach that point, and then, but the thing is that I'll reach that point. I think I will actually make a lot more progress because, coming from the time that she was coming from, like the privileges I have now, she didn't start with. So, she made a lot of progress for me to start on, and I used that progress to reach far. But what I realize now is that even though I made this progress, her knowledge is still relevant today. So no matter how advanced the society becomes and all those stuff, most of her knowledges will stand the test of time and stuff, because what happens that what I don't realize is that she's raised multiple generations, and I, the grandson came in, got my degree and all those stuff, felt hype and be like, bro, her knowledge is outdated and all those stuff. Boom, got sick, know I know why I got sick and all those stuff. And basically could not do anything the whole of 2020. I was basically bedridden, relying on her to basically just keep me alive and keep me sane. keep, so that was so that's the thing where basically you can be hype and all those stuff all you want, but there's a reason why she lived that long. Cause people people helped her and she gained the knowledge. People, listen to her story. It's more understanding now. People helped her along the way, and those who helped her along the way, she used that to propel. She did not forget those lessons. She learned the lessons and applied them better in the future generations forward. So the future generations were better than her how she started, and she had to just learn the lessons as long enough that as much as she can till she reached the point where boom, you know, her knowledge was not enough to help her because father time came, and that's how life goes. But I understanding now family remedies. It's good to That's the thing about family time and all those stuff. You have to appreciate those times because all those lessons and learned, all those stuff that I learned about the story is that what I now understand is that all those stories that I usually listen to growing up, it's going to become more understanding in the future. That's how I see it. If I live to see this future, because I said life gets more dangerous. The- As you progress in life, things get more dangerous. Uh, yeah, you hear the phone ringing. Don't mind that. Yeah, I said one of our previous episodes is that I see some stupid situation. I can't judge it because it's the best position that they could be in given the circumstances. You're gonna hear the ringing in the phone of the phone and be like, that is really bad podcasting, bro. But not realizing that, yo, that is from a new phone that is almost at the highest level. So yeah, it's upgrade. It's upgrading the phone quality, but bad podcasting, bad podcasting, uh, recording session. Yeah. So eventually we'll get better at the podcast. Eventually. It takes time. It takes time. So back to what I was saying with from remedies. It's good to learn. Family time is, you know, as a kid growing up, even as adult, those times are really valuable just to learn and all those stuff. Because Just to learn, bro. Cause the thing is that bad times are gonna come, and then when the bad times come, those lessons will just become relevant, and then boom, when the bad times are over, you're gonna see you making so much progress, and you're gonna wonder why did you make so much progress? Because all those times, bro, I was listening to all those people. So when all those bad times come, I recognize that, oh, yeah, that was the bad, the bad time. Boom, move, and then just make a move there and all those stuff. So it's like, that's the thing you have to also. And the next thing you're gonna hear in the background, I almost forgot, is the door. Yes, I hear that a few times in the podcast. The door slamming and stuff. Uh, but not realizing that, yo, I'm in my own home. So yes, it is out great. So that's the next thing about it, that you can't judge it. You can't judge. You hear some background thing back. You can't judge it, bro. Because remember, there was a time when all you hear was crickets. All you hear was crickets. So now you're hearing a wandering, and now just the door, um, the door slamming. So, we're making progress. We're making progress. That's the thing. So, yeah. So good to learn these family remedies, because the thing about life is that life can be long, and what will happen is that our remedy. So you learn about the remedies and stuff, and that's the thing. So why I never really took much into that until lately was, so I would have families. Yeah, so boom, I said my grandmother, mother of multiple generations. So she raised multiple generations. So what happened is that I'm seeing all her sons and daughters at their grown state, their grown state, when I just came in, because I'm her grown grandson. So what would happen is that basically I would be, boom, I'm out here and learning all these lessons. And what happened is that all these lessons, none of them don't is not relevant until one time. And then that one time you wish that you had that knowledge, and then boom, it saved your life. That's the thing. But what the last word I did was, in the customer service thing. What I realized is that there'll be I will get a lot of calls about these simple problems. But what not realize that those problems is just one half time. That one half time that basically that person would have it. Like they never have that problem for like 30 years. And then boom, that one time it just came, and you wish that you have it, had that solution, and boom, that's what it's there for. That's what that work is there for. It's for that one time in the 30 years that you could have that same issue again, and it's like boom, that's the solution. So boom, that's the thing about the family remedies, and the traditions passed down. They will tell you something and say, "Oh," and you hear the old time proverbs and all those stuff. A lot of old people say, and it's not relevant until that one time you need it the most, and then boom, you'll be like, "Yes," like that. And then what will happen is that that one time will come. If you're younger, that one time will come, boom, and then you will see the get the issue, and then the family will tell like, oh yes, use that. I mean, use it and it work, and it's like, if you remember this and all those stuff, it's the bragging and all those, the bragging about. And the thing is that when you're younger, you'll be like, it's just it will be like it's just one time and stuff. But the thing is that you don't realize that, the thing is that how the body work is that you will get the one issue, and then boom, you find a solution to the issue, and you don't have that issue again for a long time. But what happens is that the body is growing older and older. What will happen is that boom, you get that issue again, and issue hits you when you're old and it slaps you. It slaps you, bro. And yeah, that's strong enough. So the good thing about having family remedies and all the family time and all those stories was that when they reach the time now that when it slaps you and it can't do it, the family now would say, okay, this is the remedy and give it to you so you can basically be brought back to back to certain things. Because what happened was that, in our older years, in our retirement years, before I left, was that I usually she would tell me to okay go for certain stuff or buy certain things or get certain stuff and it was to help her. But in a certain way, I think it's a way of her teaching me that these are the stuff are good for this and stuff. And I did not remember most of them, but eventually knowing that eventually that time will come where all these stuff that I think were so I university graduate was try to do more modern stuff, but real world her knowledge will be more relevant. So what will happen is that I'm working now. So if I say I am sick, the conventional thing is to go to a doctor, get a sick thing, and then boom, take a sick leave. Not realize that certain remedies is could basically just solve the issue. But at the same time, going to a doctor is really as more effective because you're what happens is that the doctor can give you a full checkup and check for things early that so the remedy can come in and actually can actually solve your issue. But the good thing about going to the doctor is that they can do a full body checkup to give you a full diagnosis of the issue. So that when you take the remedy, I say, okay, you're solving the issue, but you're also getting a full body checkup to see if there's anything else and all those stuff. That's the importance of going to the doctor. So it's important to learn the family remedies, but know the modern. It's also good to learn the modern way. Work towards the modern way because the modern way will keep you healthy for longer. But if you're not rich or in that position where you can basically afford to go to a doctor every time you just basically cough, you need those family remedies and all those herbs and all those stuff. It's good to know who because if you can't afford it, at least you can. Those knowledge will come because it's tested and proven time and time again. It's just that you may not reach the point to understand as to why it may work. You know, eventually over time you may understand. You may find someone who can tell you why it works. But until then, you just have to trust the remedy because it works until you're able to actually get a better way to afford a modern doctor to do more health checkups and all those stuff. So that's what you have to really do with the time. Learn the remedies because that one time you're gonna come back and you're gonna wish that you learned that knowledge. So that's basically it for this episode. Thank you for listening and look out for the next episode.
Well, this is the end of the episode. Thanks for watching and look forward for the next episode. To support this podcast, go to anchor.fm/cssb/support or become a sponsor for this episode. If you have a product that you want to have more exposure, DM me on the Instagram page, Reframing Mindset Podcast, or on Twitter at ReframingP. Either way would help. Thank you regardless for listening, and here's a preview for the next episode.